Hello, everyone. I am the Section 8 coordinator at Southern Ohio. For these chapter operations sessions, we do encourage participation. If you have a question during the presentation, either raise your virtual hand or feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Brooke will be our chat minder for this session. She'll be keeping an eye on the chat, be available to answer any questions, engage in conversation, or help you find an answer if she's unable to answer for you. And so it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the session and introduce our speaker, Monica Burr. Monica is the advisor for Alcorn State, who received the Silver Torch Award earlier this year. So please welcome our speaker and this morning's Zumba instructor, Monica Burr. Monica, floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome everybody. It's great to see faces. I'm pretty excited. So we're gonna just get right started. Let's see how this works here. And we go into Zoom land. Okay, so how's that? Okay, there we are. Whoop. So as you can tell, this is not perfect. I just want to go backwards one. Oh, we're going forward. So at least that makes it entertaining, yeah? Let's try to end this. And we'll go here. Finally! Okay, so welcome to Engaging Advisors. As I was introduced, I am Monica Burr, the Senior Advisor for the Epigenosis Chapter of Alcorn State University. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you today to give you little nuggets and tidbits I hope that you can take back to share with your chapter on how we can engage and be the best advisors possible. So I want you guys to take a quick sheet of paper on the side, and I want you to think of the first word that comes to your mind to complete this sentence. I think good advising is. As an advisor, I aspire to. Now don't overthink it, just the first word that comes to your mind. My greatest strength as an advisor. My greatest challenge as an advisor. I create an inclusive environment by. The motivation behind me actually having you guys do this is sometimes we miss out on opportunities to connect because of our beliefs, and sometimes we have different definitions or expectations. And so I want you to just take a moment, jot down one word for each one of these. And remember, this is an informal exercise. There'll be no grades given. Everybody's already got an A+. Because we're here on a Saturday, right? I know, it's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock for me. It may be later for some of you or earlier. I love this sign. I love the colors. I love the fact that the text is white on contrasting backgrounds. I love that all of the arrows are pointing in multiple directions. And I love that it's on one pole. You know, sometimes we'll come to an intersection and they'll have stop signs, and you have a road marker on this pole, you'll have a stop sign over here, you have a street marker here. So you have to look in a lot of places to kind of get your bearing. What I like about this sign and being an advisor is we do all of this. We engage and we involve. As we proceed through our session, I want you to keep in mind a quote by Antoine Chekhov. To advise is not to compel. To advise is not to compel. And oftentimes that's hard for us because of our beliefs. So what is good advising? How does one advise and not compel? And when I say advising, I'm not just speaking about faculty and staff. I'm including members, because my executive officers advise, and mortar board members, because you are now mortar board members, individuals on campus look at you differently. And so you may take on an advising role as well. So how do we advise? Trustworthiness. Got to create an atmosphere of trustful or truthful or honesty. So when a person comes to you, they know they're going to get the truth and that you're going to be honest with them in a caring environment, mind you, not mean. Be a strong communicator. And we know communication actually involves parts. Being a good listener and then being able to speak. My grandmother used to say what you mean and mean what you say. I didn't understand it as a kid. And nowadays, when I say what you mean, say exactly what you mean and make sure you mean what you say. So that requires listening to what the person or your members or whomever you're advising is saying before you speak. Action-oriented personality. Be someone who has the ability to get things done or to motivate somebody to get things done. As an advisor, we have to gently nudge, whether it's faculty and staff nudging our members to participate. The e-board has to, nudge members to participate. And then if you're in other organizations, individuals look to you because you are mortar board members as someone that's action-oriented with the personality. Coaching ability. How do we make someone do better or be better at what it is they do? And then always be compassionate. The ability to show concern for others. That's a must when it comes to advising. Aspiration. We're going to let that just sit there and marinate. Aspiration is the hope of achieving a goal. So as an advisor, we have to get our members to aspire because we have a list of things to do. But that's in all organizations. That's, as a graduating senior, the members have things to do. So aspiration involves participation. I think that's number one when it comes to mortar board, trying to get our members to participate. Sometimes you have to try to get advisors to participate too. A lot of times faculty and staff, and I'm speaking about myself, are exhausted after teaching multiple courses, completing grades, exams. I don't have much fuel left in the tank to give my organization. But then that's where the members come in with those faces, that energy, and I have to keep my word as an advisor. Support. Giving the necessary support we need for our members, individuals on campus, just being there, letting them know that they can count on us. Leadership. We all know what leadership is. But as a mortar board leader, integrity, commitment, and self-belief. Innovation. The pandemic has forced us to do a whole lot of new things. I think it's made us think outside the box almost every day. Even with not knowing if we're going to have face-to-face classes, if all of our sessions are going to be virtual. So we're always having to think of more than one way to skin that cat. Networking. Networking is essential when it comes to aspiring our members because we're on a college campus. What better place to meet new people? Step outside your normal box. Even at conference, I hope my members are actually networking and making connections with other individuals. And that's our job as an advisor, to encourage our students to do that. I have to do that myself because I need to learn from other advisors as well, especially seasoned advisors. I'm still relatively new. I consider myself in diapers, or should I say training pants, because I'm out of the diaper learning, and I'm learning more every day. Here's my favorite one right here. Teamwork makes the dream work. Can't have mortarboard without teamwork. And a lot of times it's difficult to have that teamwork because we have seniors who are distracted. We have new members that are shy. There are just a lot of components that are moving at one time. So what are you best at? As an advisor or a member, what are you best at? I want you to go to your profile and rename and put what you're best at. So I would consider that as a strength. So on that list, yeah. What did you write? Nobody's changing. I can't see. Oh, am I supposed to go first?
Sarah Nelson put hers in the chat. She said that she's relational.
Ah, awesome. What else do you see, Brooke? Because I'm old. I can't do all that at the same time.
We have from Amanda, organization.
Ah, good, good. I like it.
Tonia says she's motivational. Randy is the best at empathy. Sally Stedman is great at coaching. Sophie is great at time management. Celine is great at genuinity. That's a word. Genuinity.
I like that. I'm going to have to write that down. That's new for me.
Elizabeth Clark has context. That's a good one. Erica says enthusiasm. Zoe is finding the positive.
Yes, yes.
Dominic is transformational. It's a great word. Wilson has empowerment. Lisa, collaboration. Elizabeth, institutional memory and tradition.
Wow. So we all bring our strengths to an organization. We're all good at something. And it's good to hear the diversity. I can't see it, but thank you, Brooke. The diversity in the chat. Oh, now I see it. That's how you know I'm old. Okay. So, challenge. Did I skip something? Challenges. What are your challenges as an advisor? So do the same thing in the chat for me, please. And when I say challenges, I'm referring to what you think is a weakness that you have.
Amanda's saying that one of her challenges is background knowledge. She's new. Zoe is close in age with the collegiate members. So as a young professional, Erica has no idea what she's doing.
That sounds like you're on the right track.
Right. Randy says getting members to participate when they are already so involved on campus. Lisa, activating members. Elizabeth Clark, delegation. Sarah Nelson says overcommitment. Wilson, getting the chapters engaged and motivated.
Awesome. So let's see what the next slide says. So I don't really like this word weaknesses. I prefer challenges. So I heard some of the ones over there in the chat. So this is a good place to be. Time management. As an advisor, our students, or our members is what we should call them, they need to honor their commitment to the organization. They were tapped and selected to be a part of something that everybody is not a part of. And as an advisor, we have to remind them of that this is a special honor. And participation, teamwork, support, all of those items roll together in our leadership role. You know, when individuals look to Mortarboard, they think of us as leaders on campus. And so as an advisor, we definitely have to encourage our students that even though time management is an issue, you still have to honor your commitment to the organization. Senioritis. Woo. I got to take pictures. I got to take my, exit exams, course loads. Members have a lot of irons in the fire, and they can easily become overwhelmed from a lack of planning, or they could suffer burnout. It could just be an overwhelming semester or year. And so as an advisor, we definitely have to encourage them and give them the support that they need, and let them know that you're not the only senior. This is not the first rodeo. You can do this, and stay as positive and encourage them as much as possible. A lot of our members have multiple leadership roles. I think I heard somebody say that when you were reading it, Brooke, and I find that as very common, because when you think about mortarboard is the elite of the elite. We only want the best of the best. So it's understandable that they have multiple leadership roles, which is why when they're doing their election process or trying to choose officers, we need to be mindful and tell them that, you can't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So you kind of have to choose, what works best for you. Sometimes, being president of mortarboard, I wouldn't necessarily be president of another organization, so I would master one versus being a jack of all trades of many. And then as I put in my block, focus. And that still ties all into time management, senioritis, multiple leadership roles. Focus is the biggest challenge, because if you don't have that focus, that's why you're not managing your time well. You're suffering from senioritis and your inability to focus on one organization or two. So those are weaknesses or challenges that I've seen our students encounter. Strength. Number one, mortarboard members are smart. We are the elite of the elite. But based on that intelligence, we are creative, we're versatile, and we're flexible. I think as an advisor, we need to tap into the level of intelligence of our group and ask them or get them to be creative. Be creative in how you're managing your time. There may be an individual in the organization that's doing a really good job managing. And that goes back to teamwork. In the organization, work as a team. Hey, what are you doing to manage your time? Help me. And a lot of times our mortarboard organizations are really, really large. And so it's very important that the members bring out, or as an advisor, we know some of the strengths and challenges of our members so that we can help build teams in other places other than the executive board, so that all of us make better use of our time and don't suffer from senioritis. Multiple leadership roles, that's almost inevitable, because again, they're the cream of the crops, and a lot of times by the time they're tapped, they may have already been elected to a leadership position in another organization, and we can't ask them to not do that. But we can ask them to seek assistance, ask for help. So this is really big now, inclusivity and diversity. I love this picture. I love the blending of the hands and the skin tones, and to think that my session follows Saul's, I feel pretty special. But being inclusive and being diverse can turn a good team into a great team. So the more diverse you are, the more inclusive you are. I like to think of it as the better flavor your organization has. Who wants salt all the time? You should have a little garlic, a little paprika, Me, cayenne pepper, mix it up a little bit. And so that's the inclusivity and the diversity. America was built on that. We leading nation, and that's because of our diversity and our ability to be inclusive. It allows us to build better communities. Um, it allows us to have respect for oneself and others. It allows you to integrate thoughts and ideas from others. Because if we go back to at the very beginning of the session, I mentioned that a lot of times we don't connect because of our previous beliefs. Well, that's the beauty of college. That's why we come to college, to challenge our beliefs. It's critical thinking. There's more than one way to skin the cat. Now, we may have learned how to skin a cat this way in Mississippi, but I can come to campus. I'm in mortarboard. I meet someone from another place and say, girl, you're not doing that right. You need to do it this way. It could be faster and easier. But I love the word integration, inclusion. Everyone works together, and we're just a better organization. Diversity. I have to be a cheerleader and start DIVE. Okay, so with diversity, no man is an island. Keep that in mind. No man is an island. We need each other. College campuses are very, very diverse. Mortarboard should be the mirror. It should be the mirror. It should reflect the diversity of your campus. And that way we grow because we are making things equal. We're learning different beliefs. Our values may change as a result. There's a level of freedom when you diversify. There's a level of empowerment. It just allows the exploration of different opinions. A good thing about it is it often challenges our existing belief systems, which I think is a good thing. But ultimately, diversity creates an atmosphere that allows our organization to maximize the contributions from our whole college campus. I mean, again, if we just had salt all the time, we'd just be salty. But we bring in some other flavors, it just improves, it enhances. I'm a fast talker, but I brought my sign back again because I think that just symbolizes what we as advisors and even members who will be advising, interactive, participatory, engaging, involving. We have to do all of those things at one time. Communication is essential. Being a good listener, being a good speaker. We've got to inspire our members, keep them motivated and headed in a direction of accomplishing tasks. Coaching ability. I know you guys want your members to be better, be their best. And if they're their best, it's something about when you're the best, you want to help somebody else be the best. Inclusion. Letting everybody in. Okay, but they got to have the right GPA. Along with other things, But inclusion is essential. And diversity. Don't miss the spice of life. Thank you, guys. So if there are any questions, I think somebody did a question in a poll. And I have been chewing on that all morning. So, Brooke, did you see it?
Yeah, so our question is advice on getting an advisor more involved to assist with the chapter. I believe this came from a collegiate member earlier, so probably a good place to talk about it.
I agree. And I'm assuming that they're talking about advisors like myself, getting them more active in the chapter. And for me, I think it's definitely the members. It's the members that motivate me. Um, I'll be honest with you. I was new to mortarboard, and had no clue. But once I got in, and once we started tapping members, and that just changed. But I know it can be difficult because, as I said before, faculty and staff are often burned out, and the pandemic has actually added an extra layer of stress. Um, but when you realize that you're not here for yourself, we're here for others. You know, that president, vice president, secretary, approach your advisor and say, hey, I notice, you're stressed, you have a lot going on. These are our key events. These are events that we have to do this year. Um, do we need to get you an advisor to assist? Tell us what we can do to assist you. And sometimes just asking that question may be enough to turn on the light bulb. Because sometimes as an advisor, we don't realize we're not advising. I don't know if that makes sense. But, we think that because we come to a meeting or sign a form, we've advised, we've done our job. That's not necessarily the case, because you've got to be a part of the process. I don't know if that answers the question, but hopefully there's some nuggets. Any other questions?
Yeah, Randy popped into the chat. Randy, do you wanna talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the session. I was just wondering if any other advisors in the room had advice of what they've done to help their chapters be more engaged. I'm very, very fortunate to be at San Diego State. And Cassie Neal and Jane Smith have always done Uber things and lots of activities. But as a newer, certainly less engaged than them, co-advisor, I'm always eager to hear what other groups are doing with a group of highly competent, overly involved members to bring them more into the activity rather sometimes than having it be advisor-led because we have had such strong leadership. I would love to do things or find out what other advisors are doing to encourage their students to take even a more active role.
Okay, don't y'all answer at the same time. Come on.
I can talk about some of the things that we do at Ohio State. And we really the three of us who are advisors try to follow the model that we want to empower our students to get each other engaged. And so we meet regularly with the president every other week. We've done that throughout the summer. And our current president has done a great job, I think, working with the exec board. And I'm really excited about our officers this year. And so what we try to do is really not so much offer the opportunities ourselves, but empower the students. And I think it's definitely a two-way street, though. I mean, our students are phenomenal. Our members are great about engaging with us. And so I think that really makes for a very meaningful experience for everyone.
Yeah, I'd follow up on that as well, in the sense that our leaders are really strong and they want to work with the advisors. And so we're very lucky in this year that we've added a fourth advisor to our system. So we've got 4 advisors who are working with our president, exec team, and so on and so forth. And most of the time, quite honestly, we just have to get out of their way because they're highly motivated. We have a whole bunch of different things we do during the year that are part of sort of a mortarboard longstanding traditions of things. And so as soon as they hit the ground running, and they start doing what they need to do to get those things done. And then we try to add at least one new thing every year. So, but we make sure that's student motivated. We don't suggest to the exec board what to do. They come up with the idea and then they follow through. And so the more that we add, the more they feel engaged.
I'm happy to share too. So I'm at Purdue, and this past year we got a lot of feedback that being in the virtual setting, it was like too much. everything was virtual, trying to do everything for every org, which I'm sure a lot of schools and a lot of students have felt that same way. And so our new president for this upcoming school year, she decided that we're going to try to do a lot more socials in between meetings. So, you know, we meet once a week, every week for the entire semester. So doing like a regular meeting and then doing a social the following week, doing a regular meeting again, and then the following week, maybe having a guest speaker come in or someone come and present on a topic. And so the feedback we got on that so far, obviously we haven't had our meeting start yet as the school year hasn't started, but we pitched that to a lot of our members and the students seemed really receptive of it. And they're very excited to have that break because it gives them that moment of bonding in between like all of their other commitments, and that moment to just have fun and like sit together and become friends with each other. And then, so, you know, on our end, we're hopeful that that boosts the activity and that makes people want to do more and be more engaged because they have those friendship connections.
Sounds like some really good nuggets. I saw or I heard. I'm a little jealous, I must admit, because I'm the only advisor at Alcorn. So if you guys want to share some of your advisors, just send them on down south where I can put them to use. Someone said 4. I was like, what? What is that like? I have 1. It was 2, but 1 retired. So I'm on the search for another. But the diversity with Zoe, that sounds like a great corner. As I said before, the pandemic just, man, that has just brought a layer in for us all. So having that alternation and flexibility in meeting and then have a social will increase the bonding, which will be really good, which will help with teamwork. All of that sounded interesting. I like what Dominic said, having a new activity along with a standing tradition. We are at the point of where we're trying to build our traditions because the old advisor left and there were no really hard traditions set. So I like that one too, Dominic. I'm so glad you guys are sharing because we're in this together.
I'll say that I was in your position about 20 years ago where all of the advisors left and I was by myself to try to reinvigorate the chapter. We didn't even know who the members were because we lost the information from initiation. And so one of the things we learned pretty quickly was go back to your yearbooks if you have them. I mean, if Mortarboard has been on campus for a while, see what they did 10 years ago, or, you know, see what things you can incorporate as new traditions. And that really helped us a lot to sort of get back on our feet.
Randy, I just want to say thank you for asking this question. This is amazing.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say how much I appreciated Zoe's suggestion. We added icebreakers to our monthly meeting, but you know, one of the things that I enjoyed as a Mortarboard member was meeting people that were not in my field of study. You know, so often you get locked in your major and doing major activities, and Mortarboard was the only activity that enabled me to meet other student leaders and service people who were not in physical education, which was my field. So having a dedicated sort of social something on that alternate, say, meeting time, I think could be very positive because I think those friendships that one can establish and that networking one can establish really can make Mortarboard even richer than what we are already doing in our group. So thank you for that.
I think our chapter suffered, sorry, I was just going to throw in, I think our chapter suffered a little bit from what, and I had to step away for a second. So I just caught the tail end of this continuity issue. And I know our chapter had 2 long-term faculty members that were advisors. And then they had a 3rd faculty member that was an advisor. This is just over the last 10 years or so. And that person retired kind of unexpectedly. And they had asked me to do mortarboard for one semester, and I didn't know that much about it. And so I said, okay, for one semester, I think I can do anything. That was maybe an overstatement. but what I've learned is I just try to keep a trail, and I just try to get the students to create things that have some continuity. And we went back to those, even some retired faculty members, to discover some of the old traditions and that kind of thing. And now we're reviving some of those things. So if you can even go back historically and find some of those retired folks that might have been advisors, that's kind of where I was too. So I think it's not all that uncommon that you find that there sometimes breaks in where the information is stored and who has that history knowledge.
You know, a thing that we do, which is very helpful and provides continuity for the advisors, is that we have what we call a sophomore, a junior, and a senior advisor. And every year, and so you agree when you become a mortarboard advisor to a 3-year term minimum. But every year, the sophomore advisor is newly elected by the incoming chapters. So there's always fresh blood every year. And then once the senior advisor is done, they rotate off. And so you always have 3 advisors who can inform each other. And it works really, really well. We've added a 4th one this year, just because we like the 4th person there were 2 people who were sophomore advisors and we couldn't choose between them. So we said, why not incorporate them both?
That's a great idea. You know, the other thing I started doing was partnering with the person who advises Alpha Lambda Delta on our campus as kind of, and we have then a local service that's Hood College specific. It's called the Ionic Society, and getting with those advisors and getting us to do at least one group activity every year has really exposed more people to what mortarboard is all about and got them kind of aspiring. Already had a built-in audience of people interested in service and leadership and those kinds of things, but then getting them to aspire and naturally think of, I do ALD, then I do Ionic, and then I do mortarboard. So that's been helpful.
And what Lisa said also, we do something similar. We partner with Omicron Delta Kappa, ODK. If you go back through the history of honor societies in the United States, there were originally, I think, 8 honor societies that were included. ODK was the male version of mortarboard back in the 30s and 40s. And so it made sense for us to partner with them, but also Phi Beta Kappa, you know, pick your Phi Kappa Phi. There are a whole bunch of them you could also partner with as well. That's a really kind of cool idea.
It was easy because the advisor is for ALD is in my office. I can't. So it was kind of a natural fit, but yeah, but it's turned out to be extremely helpful. And then we know that we get people who are interested in the leadership and the service versus people who just are resume building. Like, oh, I want to say I was part of this honor society or whatever, and then don't actively want to participate. These are people who are really active from sometimes from their freshman year all the way up to mortarboard. But this is only my 3rd year of advising, so we'll see if it's worked for me or not.
I love the discussion. I think this networking part. This is our networking component. I'm taking mental notes. Is this being recorded? This is really awesome. So, Brooke, I'm going to turn it back over to you, darling.
Yeah, and I'll pop it over to Robbie.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Monica. We really appreciate your insights. And honestly, thank you everyone in this session today. There's been some really awesome, engaged, active participation that we really appreciate. And we appreciate all the insights from all the current advisors, all the students. So at this time, we welcome you to take a short break before the second chapter operations rotation, which will start at the top of the hour. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, and noon Pacific. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your break, and we'll see everyone here throughout the day.